And what medium is this in?
It's originally a watercolor wash. That all the background is painted first, just as a color.
Mm-hmm.
And I build up about 4 or 5 layers of watercolor to get the particular texture that I like. And then the drawing is drawn on top of the watercolor with colored pencil.
And do you frequently work in that medium, or do you work in other mediums also?
Yeah, it's almost always watercolor,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes it's straight ahead watercolor all the way, without any real pencil work, much pencil work underneath, just a guide. And sometimes it's the swash technique with the colored pencil on top. Sometimes I'll do a fully rendered graphite drawing underneath and do layers of glazing of watercolor on top. So they're mainly those 3 ways of working, and I really don't know what it depends on when I choose one over the other. Sometimes the full-blown watercolor that has more of a realistic, say, tone than this, which is, I'd say, kind of stylistic. Sometimes the more full-blown work I reserve for complete fantasy, so that it's sort of reaffirming the crystal clarity of a dream, where dreams feel even more real than reality at times. The colors are more intense, the objects are solid. And when I'm dealing with something that's real, and especially historical, I try to put it in a stylistic way so that I have a balance between the artwork offsetting the realism of the story by being stylistic, and on the other side, the realism offsetting the dreamy quality of the fantasy, if that makes any sense.
I think so, yeah.
And in this case, I wanted a feel of that era with sort of a photographic tintype, old, glass negative sort of feel to it, without exactly copying the look of an old photograph. I just wanted the feel of it being set back in time a bit, rather dusty, right? And most of his life, the early life, and especially the life that Jane concentrated on in the story, Anderson is not in any way successful financially, certainly, and it was a pretty rough go for him. And so I wanted the book to not be full of a lot of bright, happy colors, because it was not easy for him. It's a real Dickens story. He was just a kid with no money in his pocket for a long time.
How long does it take you to finish a drawing?
Boy, that's hard to say. I can almost always calculate it, what it's going to take me once I start the painting, because that's almost a matter. I don't want to say it's this simple or this sort of robotic, but it's almost a matter of me filling up square inches of the paper.
Yeah.
I can pretty much calculate exactly how long that's going to take. It's getting up to the point where it's drawn down on a piece of paper that I can't calculate at all.
Yeah.
Because I may have to draw that picture 10 times before it feels right, before the editor and I agree, before the art director and I agree, before Jane and I agree. But she pretty much stays out of the agreement process. She just likes to come see the work. But I might change things in there, so it's really difficult to calculate that time.
Yeah.
And when I'm signing a contract and I have a due date, that's the worst part of it, because I have no idea how long leading up to my painting time is even going to take at all.
Yeah.
I might be stumped, and life is always in the middle of that too.
Exactly.
So you say you've done about 2 books a year. at some point.
Yeah, I look back on it, I wouldn't have been able to calculate that very accurately, except I had to for my tenure process where I'm teaching. I had to go back and look at 20 years worth of work that I'd done, and when I did everything, and it's been about 2 books a year. And but some years there'll be 4 books, and then there'll be a book with nothing, or I'm planning something, and it's just sketches and sketches and sketches, or there are dry periods where there's nothing, no contracts, no calls, no nothing, or I've decided to take time off, so it's not always, okay, every 6 months there's a book in,
Right.
but it's over that long period of time. And a book, I can't remember how long this book took me to do, really, but I could imagine 3 to 4 months on this one. It was simpler than most because of all the reference that was right there. I didn't have to invent a lot of characters and find a lot of models and clothes and all that for it. If it was a fantasy peopled with a lot of folks, it's mostly concentrating on him and a few scenes, and I had all that information.
So when you have a model, like especially for that particular picture, do you have the big coat on them the same way?
Yeah. That was. I think that was my wife leaning over, wearing the overcoat, and then I attached Anderson's great nose. He did have a really great nose.
Very long.
So that was fun to paint. His whole face was fun to paint. There's so much going on there. It's not your average features. Big ears and the sleepy eyelids, and the high forehead, and the Victorian collar. It's just that was wonderful to draw.
Cool.